Welcome to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of That's What She Said with me, Christiana Malacara. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, if this is your 50th time tuning in, thank you so much for taking just a moment out of your day, hopefully an hour, because we're sitting here and we're talking about women empowerment and we're spilling the tea on women empowerment. We are thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be able to have this platform to talk all about ladies and how awesome and amazing, and I can't think of any more A words, just how wonderful you are. And what we do, and That's What She Said, is we have conversations that start a ripple effect, right? And for me, that's an invisible ripple effect. I recently had to reflect on this and say, I'm over here having these conversations and talking to women every single week, but I might not see where the end of the ripple effect goes. This led me to another thought. And those who follow along every week, you know that I started journaling and jotting things down per suggestion of my guests. They journal, a lot of them journal. And I jot this down. It was an invisible ripple effect. Wow. Okay. I have to come to terms with that at some point. And then I realized that is a reflection of my output. Okay. This translates to your input. So whatever you're putting out into the world, all is positivity you're giving and you're sharing, that determines the trajectory, right? That determines the direction. That's just that extra push that you're giving out to your community, to your family, and then that comes back. And it's so exciting to be on your host of That's What She Said. So the ways that you can listen, if you are watching us, if you're watching, it is Thursday at 1:30. You're on YouTube, you're on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on either of those platforms, give us a share, give us a like, send to a friend. Let's spread positivity through a review, because we really just want to hear your feedback. If you're listening to us on the radio waves, which is amazing, WSGW 100.5 and 790, that would be Saturday morning at 8 o'clock or Sunday afternoon at 6 p.m., which is a great time to listen, because that kind of just, again, it just fills you up to get you started for that Monday, so you can give that output, that positive output into the community. And then we're also on in a podcast format. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, 24/7. I always like to say, while you're doing the laundry, when you're doing your workout, just turn it on. That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara. So I have a very cool guest. I have gotten to know her fairly recently. We went for coffee, and then it was like we didn't skip a beat. You know, those types of friends that you just, this is going to be a good person in your life, a friend of a friend. You go out, you have coffee, and then all of a sudden you're just like, hey, we connected. This is that girl for me. So today, as our guest, we have Olivia Munoz. Hi.
Hello. So happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. Originally when, and I don't know if she wants us to say her name, but we have a mutual connection. And she's like, you have to meet this person. I said, okay. And the original intention was to, meet you, to have you here. And now we've become friends. We've had celebrations together, right? The life celebrations. We've had life experiences together in a very short time, just over this time frame. And I'm so excited to have you. I really am, because it's something that I'm looking forward to having this conversation. So, Olivia.
Yes.
My first question, can you introduce yourself and how the community might know you?
Yes. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you, Christiana. I love your podcast. I love women's empowerment. So this was a no-brainer. And getting to know you and your energy and your effervescence is like cherry on top. How might folks know me? My name is Olivia Munoz. I'm Oli to my friends and family. And some of you might know me as an artist and writer. I was born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan, and have been doing poetry, journalism, and visual arts, since I was a kid. A lot of you might know me from my experience in higher education. I've worked at universities for a long time. So there's a big pot of people who know me as an administrator in student affairs. And so those folks will know me as Dr. Olivia Munoz, because that's what I studied in school. And then there's a small group of people that know me as just a really great friend, a sister, a tia, and a passionate community member.
Oh, passionate community member. So you're here in Saginaw right now.
Yeah.
You're a Saginaw resident.
Yeah.
But that wasn't always the case. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, my journey has been really meandering. Like I mentioned, I was born and raised here. But I always knew as a little girl that I wanted to, not because I didn't like my community, but because it seemed so exciting to me to get to know people from different cultures, to taste new foods, to just see things with my own eyes and not just in books and TV. So for most of, after going to college, I went to the West Coast to California to be a journalist and spent most of my adult life out there. So most recently I'm coming from, my most recent land job was in Oregon after working in California for a long time. But most recently I did a program called Semester at Sea, which took me and a bunch of college students, professors, all around the world on a cruise ship. So got to travel to a lot of different countries and, fulfill those childhood dreams over and over.
Okay, so here's a question for you then. You said, I wanted to experience culture. I wanted to experience, language, the food, the places. And then you said, I needed to see it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
That was pretty powerful. Why did you feel like seeing a picture, reading a book, seeing a movie, having conversations with, people from different places, why did you feel that wasn't enough and you needed to see it with your own eyes?
Yeah, there's certainly lots of value in indulging and consuming stuff, through your senses. It's different to kind of live it, to be at the table, at an Indian family's home, eating with them, hearing their family stories. Like that is the type of experience that becomes embedded in your spirit and in your body and memory in a way that's different from just trying like a new Indian restaurant downtown. Both have their value. You should always try to know folks and experience new things when you can. And media is a great way to do that. Testing new performances or food is a great way to do that. For me, I knew that I wanted to like kind of fully be there with myself. That's kind of the individual selfish part. But I knew also, I think from when I was very young, probably in high school, that I was going to be in that first generation of my family of women who would get to do that, would get to travel for fun and leisure and education. That simply was just not always the case and wasn't always the case for a lot of folks. I was going to be the first one to be able to really like add stamps to my passport in a way that was intentional and for exploration. And so I knew I had like little kids looking up to me and the family, little cousins, nieces and nephews. So it kind of filled two purposes for me, my own sense of adventure, and also a way to inspire others to see the world as well. And they have. My sisters have traveled, my nieces are like, should I go to Costa Rica? It's like, yes, please go, like go into the world. That wasn't always a possibility. And so I don't lose track of that. I don't lose that this is fairly new to our family and to women generally.
So you said you traveled for education specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack that. Let's go through that route. So we graduated high school. Then what?
Yeah, graduated high school, Arthur Hill High School, which no longer exists, and that makes me sad, but had a wonderful time there, lots of friends, and then went to college at Central Michigan University. I started, like I mentioned, I had been writing for a long time, and that included some local journalism here with Mi Gente magazine. And so I studied journalism in college. I studied journalism and art at Central Michigan University. And that's not far. That's not a far move. Mount Pleasant's not super out of our region. For folks who don't know the geography, it's only about an hour away from my hometown. But it was a world of difference, right? Like I was living out of my house for the first time. I was meeting new people who were from different places from where I was. And so that was its own eye-opening experience. So I always encourage students to travel or to study away from home if they can. And then after I finished my degree, I had an internship at the Associated Press as like a news intern in Detroit. And when that ended, they were like, well, we don't have a job for you here, but we like you. Would you consider moving? And one of those places was Fresno, California.
That's a big jump.
It is a huge jump.
How did you feel? And, you know, was it kind of like, yes, I'm going to take it? Or is it, let me go home and ask my parents?
No, I was very much a let me go home and tell my parents.
Ooh.
If I asked them, they might not. I mean, they were always encouraging. My parents always encouraged education and my travel, but it was just kind of scared of me moving. Yeah, it's a big jump. But when I heard Fresno, California, so it's not like a super exciting place necessarily. It's not Los Angeles or San Francisco that people might know about and think of when they think of California. Fresno is very much in the central part of the state. It's very agricultural. It's a smaller town. But for me, I recognize the name. My grandfather had talked about Fresno and these little towns throughout the Central Valley of California. Because he was a bracero during the guest worker program in the late 1940s. So to me, there was something a little bit almost romantic to work in the same place that my grandfather did, but in a totally different way. He was a laborer, and I was going to report on things, including labor. Like it was kind of a full circle moment for me. And I was like, I don't need to ask any more questions. That's where I need to go. I need to go be a reporter out there where my grandpa works.
If we were to tap into those emotions, you said that you know, this full circle and you were like excited to have this opportunity, but what other feelings did that bring once you got there?
Yeah. A lot of humility. I didn't know one person there. So I had to kind of start my social circle from scratch. I had to put myself out there and like make friends and figure out, you know.
Is that hard to do?
It is. It's gotten harder as I've gotten older, but when I was younger, I really thought like you can drop me anywhere and I'll talk to anyone and figure it out. Like give me some time. Right. But work goes into that just like anything else. Like you have to work to socialize and meet people. So definitely a little bit of scaredness, some humility to have to like rebuild friendships. But honestly, it was mostly excitement. And it was excitement both in, yay, new space, you know, I'm figuring everything out. Everything's new to me. But also a lot of pride in like, I am paying my own bills. Like I found this apartment and I'm furnishing it. Like all of those kind of first early adult things that I got to do as an independent woman. That was super fun. You talked about journaling earlier. Like I would journal about that all the time.
About just, I'm going to do this thing for me.
About like, I paid my light bill. That's so exciting. Like I paid it myself.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Those
revolutionary
celebrations.
Yeah.
I did this thing.
Yeah. And then after that, building, you know, I found this film festival or I made a new friend or I'm volunteering at this art center. Like, you know, you just kind of
really did
build
put
your
yourself
confidence
out there.
Yeah. You build your confidence. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of dropped a little bomb on us though. You said when you were younger, anybody could drop me anywhere and I could just figure it out.
Yeah.
But you said as I got older, that's not the case.
Yeah.
What changed?
I mean, there's like logistical things that change people. Like if I'm making friends who are in my own age range, they have children or jobs or like people have responsibilities. I also really cherish the friendships that I've made. So I kind of look for that depth that I've already built in. So I don't feel like I have the energy to start a lot of new friends. I want quality friendships. So now I'm quality over quantity, right? Where before it's like, okay, let me just kind of, it's like when you're dating and you're just like, let me date around and like figure out who's out there really for me.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing with friends. Like, let me hang out with folks. Let's see who's really going to be, you know, kind of a close friend to
a good
me.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm much more focused on quality and on being intentional with my time and energy. And other folks are too, right? So that's
you think
really
that's important for women to be intentional with the time and energy that they have?
Absolutely. Because the world doesn't want that for us necessarily. The world, might have expectations for us or things like that. So if you have the ability and the autonomy to kind of say, actually, that's not for me, like, please trust yourself and lean into that. Or I'm tired and I'd rather stay home tonight. If your body needs that, like, that's kind of what you're weighing out. Should I show up for this thing? That's important. Or should I stay home and take care of myself? That's also important. I think those are the things that we grapple with, as we grow into ourselves. I won't say get older, because that's useful at any point in your life. When you're like authentic and true for what you know and need, you'll make the best decisions for yourself.
Ooh, I like that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of got off the train here a little bit. We were talking about education.
Yeah.
And I should have introduced you as Dr. Olivia. What was that thing that you're like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in school. We're going to get my doctorate. This is happening. Like, what was the thing that motivated you to do that?
Yeah, it was not that breezy.
I did sum that up, didn't I?
It was not that breezy. I mean, I always liked school and learning. I didn't necessarily like, just like anyone, they don't necessarily like the homework or assignments.
Okay.
But anyone gets lit up by learning something that they're interested in. Like, that's anybody. That's not about being smart. That's about being curious. And so I was always curious. When I was working at the University of San Francisco, my boss at the time, his name is Brian Arau. He's a great educator in higher ed. He said, you know what? I'm in a doctoral program right now. It's an international and multicultural education. And I think you would really like it. You seem to be, smart. You're passionate about education and access for students. Like, you might like this program. So I was like, great, let me go check it out. So first off, listening, right, to someone who's believing in you. I don't know that we always do that. I certainly didn't. People might give me a compliment or a suggestion and I might not take it. But at that point, I was very open to hearing that. And I'm glad I listened to him. So I went and checked it out. And the professors, who were mostly women of color, honestly, blew me away. Like, the stuff that the students were studying was so interesting. They were thinking about social justice in education. They were thinking about ways to be more accessible. How does education play into making social change? All of that is my jam. So I was like, okay, let me think about it. I'm a first gen American. I'm a first gen college student. So I didn't know exactly what the doctoral journey took. And it takes a lot of work, but I was in a pretty good program and I enjoyed it. That's pretty unique. Not everyone says that. A lot of folks feel destroyed by their doctoral program. I felt very, very cared for. I respected my peers, like my fellow classmates and professors. But it took a while. Like, it took 5+ years
to finish your doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, it took a while, which is not unheard of. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of the general.
Yeah,
it could take 4, 5, 6 years. But I loved what I was reading and stuff, and I knew I was really into it when I turned from being a little bit of a party girl, like I was always social, to being on my couch on a Saturday night reading
you're like, who's this
scholarly article about something and just being like jazzed. I was like, this is life. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Where before it was, I went out,
these are two different Olivias then.
Yeah. And the social girl didn't die. I still like going out, but I'm glad that I had found this new thing. I was like, I must really be in it. I'm giving again. Mm-hmm. I'm using my time and energy towards something that I really care about and like. And just like traveling, I knew it wasn't just for me. The Chicana like educational pipeline is such that only, and this statistic might have changed, but when I was in school, only 0.2% of doctorates went to people like me.
Yeah.
0.2. So in a room of 100 people, there wasn't one doctor who was Mexican American. In a room of 200 people, it took a while. So I knew that part of it was also representation.
You want to be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to not just walk through the door. I wanted to make sure it was open for other folks. I wanted to open windows. I wanted to prop the back door. Like, I want more folks to follow through that door. It's possible, but it is a lot of work.
Why was that important for you to open the door, open the windows, prop the door open for others?
That's always been part of my mission. I think because I was always cognizant that we weren't, and we being Latinos, we weren't always represented, in lots of higher up positions or in, educational access. I was like, okay, I can be one. And I just believe in pulling as you climb. That's a core value of mine. There's no reason to do things if they're just for me. Like it should be for all of us.
Pulling as you climb.
Yeah. And I didn't make that up. I heard that somewhere, and that just became a core value of mine, or it lined up with something that I really believed in deeply. So, and I think women are really good at that. Not every woman, but lots of us are really good at saying, like, let me make the space that I need and also create that space for others.
Pulling as you climb. So you're right. I think women are wonderful at this. And a lot of the women on the other side of the mic here are saying it's our multitasking skills. It's, that can diversify in so many ways. It's because we're multifaceted. All these words come up, right? Mm-hmm. But pulling as you climb. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you want to. And in the next half, we're going to dive a little deeper into pulling as you climb, being consistent, being open, and all of those wonderful things that Dr. Olivia Munoz has spoken about in the first half of That's What She Said. So stay tuned. And when we come back, we're going to dive a little deeper into Olivia, and I might even ask her to read a little something special. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara. That's me. More importantly, I have, I'll say it again, Dr. Olivia Munoz. I apologize for not saying it the first time.
No worries.
And it was because I know the way I was introduced, I was like, introduced you, I was like, hey, I'm Olivia. And I was like, hey, one of those things where it's, you are a friend of mine, and I appreciate our friendship, and I'm very excited to share some of the stories that you have. And I'm saying it in this sense because Olivia is from the Great Lakes Bay region, from Saginaw, and she's traveled. And in the last segment, she said something really interesting. She said to be curious. And so in the act of being curious, you were curious enough, ambitious enough, and excited to write a book of poems. Mm-hmm. And then I have it right here in my hands. I don't know if anybody on the camera can see, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So you are an author. When you were in school and you went to school for writing, you studied culture. When you were in the classroom, did you ever think, I'm going to write something one day and it's going to get published?
Yes.
Of course she did.
Did I have doubts continuously? Absolutely.
What were those doubts?
Oh my gosh, that I'm not good enough. Nobody will get what I'm writing. What if I have to write just in English and can't include Spanish words? Are they going to understand that? Are they going to water my stuff down? Am I going to be too nervous to put my stuff out? Am I going to be a scaredy cat about it? Like all of these doubts that were mostly about me and my own fear.
How did you push through them?
Oh my gosh. One was I always read a lot. I was always an avid reader. And so that helped me informally kind of study language. Like we studied in school, but because I read so much, I was just kind of like inputting stuff. And I knew that I really loved the way that language worked and could be beautiful. I love listening to like lyrics and songs and stuff. So I was doing a lot of informal research that way. but you also just kind of have to self pep talk yourself. To this day, like sometimes if I have to do a big presentation, I'll like write little encouraging post-it notes to myself and put them on the mirrors, like anything that'll pump me up, because it's scary. Like it's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to put your work out there. But as a little girl, did I say like, I'm going to write a book one day, or I'm going to paint this painting? Like, yes, I did, because that's one of the beauties and precious things about being a little kid, is that you still dream. So when I think of like women's empowerment or going for your dreams or transforming things, part of that is honoring the dreams of that little girl. So that's in all of us, right? Like we all should try to go for it, for that little kid who thought, I can do this.
There's a saying, and it's live today for your 6-year-old self, and then your 86-year-old self.
Yeah.
And I've heard this and I've seen this and people tell you, but I guess I've never thought of it as that 6-year-old self is the dreamer. And the 86-year-old self is going to sit there and say, oh, I lived the dream.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, one of the great authors in the American canon, Sandra Cisneros, who's a Mexican-American writer from Chicago, she has this little story about a girl who's thinking on one of her birthdays, like this little girl's turning 11, and she's realizing, I'm 11, but I'm also 10, and I'm also my 9-year-old self, and I'm also 8. Like you're still all of those iterations of yourself. And I think about that all the time, where it's like, I'm not just doing it for that one little girl down there. I'm doing it for the teenager who was like nervous and like hormonal, right? Like you're doing it for, like you said, your future self. And I think it's a beautiful way to think of it that way, like your past and your future. That's who you're living for.
So I started out this segment, this episode by saying input and output, right? And I was thinking of it as in the terms of, I'm going to pour into myself so that way I can output, up to here, right?
Yeah.
And then that output goes out further. You have created an output that is tangible. We can sit here and read through this, and the inspiration is in your hands. Is there a passage in the book? So I'm just going to say the book is called, you know what? I'm going to let you introduce the book.
Sure. So this book came about from a contest. Like in the literary world, there's publishers that will do contests for poetry and publish you as part of that. So I have a chapbook of poems called These Women, They Carry Purses Full of Knives. It's a long title, but it's my first kind of collection. It's my first publication. So I'm very proud of it. And some of the pieces I wrote a long time ago. One of the ones I think that for me really captures like this essence of being surrounded by women and like how I admire the women in my family specifically is a poem called After Dinner. Can I share it?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So after dinner, we turned down the lights and asked these women to tell us stories where the devil is a goat, and women were warned plenty of times. They are all true. They are all real. I do not have honey in my mouth. I do not stack words the way they do. I try to learn or remember or steal or swallow or commit to the way their voices sing over the crack of leaves being pulled off corn cobs, but I can't. I am plastic. They are clay. My words were created here, in this kitchen, on a computer. They will last forever, which makes them cheap. These women will return their words to the earth when they die, taking wooden spoons with them and garlic skins, and narration and wrinkles from these children who will run around them in eternal orbit. These women, proud of their gold jewelry and round bodies and their good food, cook all Sunday long like it's nothing, talk like it's free, like it's not precious, like we are not clinging onto morsels. They throw away phrases I shove into my empty pockets.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
These women, who were those women for you?
These women to me are certainly my mom, my grandmothers, my great grandmothers, my godmother, my tias, older cousins. It was very much the women in my family, their neighbors in Mexico and stuff. It is one of my favorite things to just sit there and listen to them talk story, right? Like gossiping or remembering things from back in the day or asking like, hey, what did you think about that? Like I love hearing them just chatter. It is when you talk about like filling your cup, that fills my cup for sure. So that's these women. On a broader view, it's like, to me, it's honoring the women in my family, regardless of education, right? Like I'm the person in my family with the most formal education. It does not mean I didn't learn from all of them. And that's kind of what that story is about. I was like, I can try to, I'm going to start crying. I can try to be the best writer I want and have all the degrees. I do not touch some of their storytelling abilities. So that's who these women are to me. Like, it's like these women, I'm holding them up. That title is a pedestal.
They take their words back to the soil. I'm paraphrasing. These words are going with them. Do you not think that your words won't go with you?
I do. I think there's a difference in kind of the oral tradition of storytelling. And that's that very ephemeral value, right? That they live because we pass them down. And if we don't pass them down, those words go back to the earth. I do think my words will go with me. I hope that they live on. I hope that they have value to someone. I hope that they inspire folks to share their own stories and to listen to the elders. So that's a lot to put on some words, but I hope that they impact in a positive way. Yeah.
Words are powerful. I mean, you've proven it. You've proven that words are powerful by listening, absorbing, and then that output, right? So when we talk about next steps, is there, well, here, I'm going to take a step back. Do you think that you are these women for others?
Oh my gosh. I think I'm in the point of my life where I'm kind of transitioning into that. I have younger like cousins and nieces and nephews who are now, teenagers or going into college and stuff. So certainly I've had to think of myself in a different way, right? Like I used to be a taker, an absorber, an audience member to stories. And now I'm like, oh, shoot. Like now I'm one of the ones who has to give. And so I'm a little bit more conscious of that. I think for any of us, a good thing to keep in mind is that we are an elder in the making. And so the way that we move about the world should reflect that. Like there's always going to be a little generation that's coming up behind us. So, and even with my students too, I've had a lot of college students who I've mentored or have called me mom, or, I'm like a big sister to them or a aunt to them, depending on how old I am when I got to work with them. So I like that. I like having a larger community of like younger folks, but it's an adjustment to move from being one of the kiddos to now thinking, oh shoot, now they're sitting at my feet, right? And what am I gonna portray, or what advice am I gonna give now?
Do you like that transition?
No, it's so much more fun to just listen to stories. It's so much more fun. It's easier to be foolish and ignorant and say like, yes, give me all the things. I want to hear you, the stakes are lower, I would say. But yeah, I am. I mean, I'm being facetious. I do enjoy moving into that part. But to me, it doesn't mean that I stop being curious. I started off talking about curiosity. It doesn't mean that I'm going to know everything ever, right? Like I'm still learning. I learned from them.
These women didn't know everything.
Exactly.
But at the time, I'm sure we thought they did.
Yeah.
especially in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, they still know everything there.
This
For
is
sure.
true. They will always.
Yeah,
We know
but
nothing.
no, I hope that I can remain humble enough to like still learn as I move into kind of like an elder position or move into a place where people might be looking up to me, which is
So-
scary.
I mean, it sounds like you are. It sounds like you are. You're living in this world where there are little ones that are looking up to you and your family, actual little ones in your family. So let's implant ourselves in this moment, right? You're sitting there and you do have these little ones at your feet and you are the elder. What is something that you would tell them? What is a story you would share with them?
I mean, I think I would tell them I'm with them all the time just by virtue of being home now. And one thing I love to do is do art projects with them. Yesterday, my little niece Ale was over and we were making cards and doing like fashion design stuff because she really likes fashion. So to me, anything that a kid is interested in, I want to feed and encourage. I'm like, yay, whatever you're into, even if I don't like it. One of my nephews wanted to read a manga novel together, like a graphic novel. I have never read one in my life, but I'm like, absolutely, I will do it. Sounds like a blast. Because I want to encourage anything that they're just like kind of geeking out about.
Keep them curious.
Keep them curious. For kids, like the time for kids to be curious is so precious. And that's like really that's their building blocks that they'll grow on, is that they were encouraged in some way. I don't care if they change their mind tomorrow and want to be into something else. Who cares? So I was with Ale, my little niece Ale, who's like 5 years old, making cards. But my message is always for them to understand that they're grand and that they have possibility. And so that is really what comes about when we play and encourage each other. That part honestly doesn't have to stop at kids. We can encourage each other as adults. Women can encourage each other. We can encourage, other people regardless of their age. If somebody's into something good, let's clap it up for them. Let's hype them up.
Encourage it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just keep going back to this curiosity aspect. Encourage the curiosity. So when you're interacting as the Thea, right, as the aunt, what is something that you're getting back? What is something that you feel like, oh, they're showing me this?
Yeah. I mean, I feel a lot of pride because just like most of us who have like young family members, like you think they're the cutest, most smartest, most talented.
Yeah.
So that feels good because, this is the time for love, like for little kids. I keep saying that for kids, but literally everything I say for kids applies to us too. We also deserve love as adults. But I feel a lot of pride in seeing their talent and their personalities develop and things like that. I also feel like it's one thing to like read things in a book and all of that. It's a different thing to apply them. So to me, I get to use what I've learned in being a writer or being an educator or being a traveler. I get to kind of bring that to the table when I have little kids, right, who are just figuring the world out.
So what is something that they're teaching you?
They're teaching me to not worry about being cringy. Everybody's so worried about, and I get it, like there are eyes on us all the time. Things are recorded. The internet is forever. I get it. Who cares? Dance the dance. Wear the silly skirt. Sing out loud. Like they're teaching me to not self-censor. That is very powerful. That is a powerful lesson. Yeah.
So what is something that you feel that you've taught these women when you were the little one listening to your elders?
Being outspoken, a lot of like just generationally or culturally, they might have spoken out. They might have not spoken out. They might have felt like they had to, I'm talking about, censoring, like the little kids have taught me to not worry about being cringe. I feel like I taught some of them to kind of stand up for themselves or to be brave and talk, especially like in a very logistical sense, right? When they didn't know the language very well, to still, use, to still try to advocate for themselves, whether it's like for social services or at a job or something like that, even with a heavy accent, even if they didn't know all the words, to speak up when they needed something. I feel like I did that as a kid. I was very righteous because as a kid, I didn't know the consequences to stuff. So I would encourage them to kind of speak up. And, my mom has been to the Golden Gate Bridge. She went to New York to visit my sister. That's not something she thought of doing when she was younger. We pulled her that way.
That was your dream.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so we're talking again about this, pulling someone up, and I wrote it down somewhere. Pulling
Pull
someone
as you
up.
climb. Yeah.
Pull as you climb. You think you pulled your mom?
I think so. My mom certainly pulled me. I love my mom. She's very strong and hilarious. But yeah, and I don't have to think that. She has said that. My mom has said that. She said, I have seen, the country because of my daughters. Yeah.
That's a big opportunity.
Yeah.
Generationally, that's not ideal for that generation to have these experiences.
Right.
They didn't speak out. They didn't speak up. They didn't have the language to do these things. Do you think you made your mom proud?
I think so. I hope so. That certainly was a part of my motivation. Yeah, I would say so. And she's made me proud too. My mom moved to a whole different country where she didn't speak the language and has managed to make it work. Both of my parents are from Mexico. So I'm proud of them. And I know that they are proud of me. There's no shortage of love and pride in my family, thankfully.
Blessed.
Yeah.
We are going to talk a little bit about this book just in the last few seconds here. Where can we find it? Can you reintroduce the book and where can we find it? And then I'm going to ask you one last question.
Yeah. So my poetry chapbook, it's like a thin volume of poetry. It's called These Women. They Carry Purses Full of Knives. And they are poems mostly about family lore, women's stories. And you can find it through my website, oliviamunoz.com. And then I'm also on Instagram. So you can find me there and fill out the order form.
So what is one piece of advice that you would pass along to a woman?
I would say to go for it. I talked about being cringe. Muster up that courage that you have in you. I'm going to talk directly to you. Muster up the courage that you have in you to go for it. You might not have all the time that you need. You might not have all the money, but the courage part, you control that. So find the courage to indulge, to be curious, to seek something out that you didn't think you could do. Take a step. It's important. And the littles are watching you. So it's for you and it's for the generations behind you and for your old lady self who will look back with good memories.
I love it. I'm excited to be an old lady and look back one time and say it.
Yeah.
Hey, we did this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to That's What She Said. That was Dr. Olivia Munoz. And that's what she said.